Hey guys, and welcome to the video. Today we're going to be discussing DMZ and where I think they're potentially succeeding, falling short, and what questions still need to be answered. Because I think there are some ways potentially they've completely flipped the script on the standard extraction shooter, similar to what they did with Warzone and flipping the script on the standard Battle Royale. After watching the reveal on Wednesday, I wanted to take some time to rewatch footage, look through other commentary before making any rash opinions on the game mode, because in all honesty, my first thoughts were that this doesn't look that appealing. After doing some digging though, I am more intrigued than I was originally, and hopefully this video will share some of my optimism. Before we get started, I'll be showing screenshots of gameplay primarily from Dr. Lupo's footage that he streamed on Wednesday at the reveal event. I think he did a great job of trying to show off the gameplay in what was probably not an ideal event situation, so credit to him, and if you want to watch some of the proper gameplay, I'll definitely check out his stream. I'll link to the video in the description. So yeah, big credit to him because I'll be using some screenshots from his stream, and also I will credit any other sources that I drop in here. Also, it's important to note that the game that we watched was from a preview build of the game, and so there were elements that not included that are in the final build. We don't know what they are, but something to keep in mind. I'm basing my thoughts off what I've seen, and so I could be completely wrong, but hopefully not. Call of Duty have said they will reveal more about the game before launch, hopefully with a blog post or something, so keep an eye out for that. Right, so let's get into it. From my experience and in my opinion, there are 4 key pillars that hold up an extraction style game or game mode and lead it to success. So I'm going to go through these 4 individually and look at how DMZ delivers against them. And really, in my mind, you need to deliver in these 4 areas to make players want to keep coming back for more. So they are, first, an economy, the ability to sell your loot that you find in the match or earn money to buy better gear for future matches. Risk and reward is the second one, so that fear of losing the gear that you've grinded to earn, good weapons, a character, for example, if you're playing Hunt Showdown, there's that real danger that every life matters. Third, an interesting and varied set of objectives to complete, so every time you're loading in, you've got something different and challenging to go and do. You're not just doing the same thing over and over again, and it gets pretty boring. And fourth of all, we have meaningful progression. So, the ability to unlock new weapons, to get better gear, cosmetics, other sort of rewards like that make you want to grind the missions in the first place. So let's look at the first pillar. We have the economy, and I have to say right off the bat, this is what alarmed me the most watching the gameplay, because it looked like all a successful extract meant is that your loot got turned into XP. What about buying better gear, kill streaks, guns, perks? What is the point in extracting if my loot is then worthless on the outside? When it comes to the economy, I think COD have potentially completely flipped the table on what it means in an extraction shooter. Usually in a game like The Cycle, Tarkov, or even Hunt Showdown, you spend your hard-earned money in the safety of the lobby screen where you can buy whatever you want to use next time. It's a relaxed place where no one can hurt you. But from what I can tell, it seems like with DMZ, if you want to level up your loadout with a bigger backpack, armor plates, self-revive, potentially better weapons, then you have to do it in the match itself. From watching gameplay, you can sell any loot that you find at a store or buy station in the match and use that cash to buy things like contraband weapons, so one that has been pre-customized potentially, maybe in a meta build form, or items that can help you survive, such as self-revives, better armor, kill streaks potentially, and in theory you can extract with this and use it in another match. Now I have to say I could be completely wrong here. Again, we don't know a lot about how this is going to work, and the gameplay was only a couple of hours long, so people didn't really get to dive into the meat of it. But just imagine that you spent all your hard-earned cash on a high-tier meta loadout, and now you have to safely extract to get to use it again. That flips the whole economy on its head and really adds to the risk and reward element that we're going to get to next. So as I just mentioned, let's talk about risk and reward with DMZ. One of the best things about extraction shooters is that gear fear. It makes every life stressful. You die, you lose everything you had, and you start from scratch again. But it makes the victories that much sweeter. So let's talk about how DMZ is delivering on this front. Firstly, in the gameplay I watched of matches, the AI aren't a joke. The amount of times I watched players try and push a stronghold, for example, to get high tier loot and get dunked on by the AI was pretty crazy. So I think to be successful, you have to really think these scenarios through, and it's not like you can just roll these AI. There is a risk that you can die and lose all your gear. Secondly, extractions seem very challenging. Everyone in the area knows you're trying to extract, and it seems to draw AI into the area too, and these extractions work in a similar way to The cycle, we have to wait anxiously as a helicopter comes in, and then there's a timer before you can leave, making it a very treacherous thing to do. The risk of dying is one thing. You could die in hazard zone and it meant literally nothing. You can run the same loadout and go again. There was no risk. With COD, they have mixed this up. When you're building your loadout, you'll see you have the option to run contraband weapons. These are guns you either extract with or are gifted for completing missions, or you could buy at the store. These cannot be customized, and if you die with them, they're gone for good. Secondly, you have the ability to take a gun in your insurance slot. Now, I think this needs a huge caveat because I don't know if this is working as intended for the preview, but it looks as though for these slots, you can run a fully customized gun from the gunsmith, same as you would in multiplayer or in a Warzone loadout. Now, I saw this and I thought, well, that's busted. I can just run any gun I want, whenever I want. Here's the kicker. If you die while using an insured slot, you cannot use that slot again for 10 hours. 10 whole hours. That's huge. Now, it looks as though you can reduce this time by successfully extracting or completing missions, but just think about that. If you go on a bad streak in this game, you could potentially be left running either no weapon or some trashy contraband pistol or something. The punishment definitely makes this game mode interesting, and by watching how hard it was for these players to extract, this game could be more punishing than people think. So these first two pillars are things I think COD needs to get right off the bat to keep things going strong. That's what's going to draw people in to keep playing, and that's what's going to make this game mode a success. The next two, I think they have a bit more freedom to build on, and over time I hopefully expect them to do just that if they want to commit to making this game mode a success. So let's look at the third pillar, where we want, an interesting and varied set of objectives to complete. From what we can see in these screenshots, there are 3 factions that you can complete missions for, and there seems to be a loose storyline giving reasoning behind the missions. I don't really care about lore, but some people do. The objectives are also quite varied, from collecting loot to interacting with POIs and having to enter certain high danger areas. But again, we didn't get to see a lot of this, so it's hard to know exactly what's going on here. Also, I like how there are on the ground contracts you can choose to do, so you don't have to follow the story arc, but similar to Warzone, you can pick up missions on the fly. For instance, I watched Dr. Lupo drive a boat down a river while getting chased by an attack heli. Things like this seem to offer some pretty cool moments that can make for a fun time. The question still remains, how deep do the quests go? Are they going to be really varied, or is it going to be a case that after you've played a few hours, you're going to be getting asked to do the same thing over and over again, which will become pretty tedious? This is something we won't really know till we get our hands on the game mode, but from what I've seen so far, it seems like they've done a pretty good job. And again, this is an area they can build on, maybe every season they can refresh the quests, add new type of missions, things like that. So with the final pillar, we talk about meaningful progression. First off, from what we've seen and heard, there does seem to be some depth to the progression here. For instance, with the factions, you have to complete a certain series of quests before getting access to all the factions. Then in terms of your inventory, you have insurance slots that don't unlock again until you reach a certain level. This means that grinding the game will allow you to potentially take in a better loadout, giving you advantage over other players. Also, and I think this is potentially a big draw for COD players in particular, is the ability to unlock weapon blueprints and operator skins that are only available in DMZ. We all know how COD players love weapon camos and skins. If they unlock some really cool weapon skins, operators behind potentially end game quests, then that'd be a really cool thing you could show off in multiplayer or Warzone. Now, one thing which I think needs clarification is, does leveling up allow you to do things like buy better backpacks to carry more loot, equip more attachments on your guns, things like that? That's something we still don't know. Hopefully we will get clarity on that before the launch, otherwise we'll just have to figure it out for ourselves. Anyways, that is all for today. I hope you appreciate the video. I am more excited than I was about the game mode a few days ago. We'll see what comes out. If they do a blog post, I may do a video on that, depending on how in-depth it is. Otherwise, I'll probably be streaming the game mode DMZ on launch. So if you'd like to watch that, do subscribe, turn on that notification button. If you've enjoyed the video, drop a like for the algorithm and leave a comment below about your thoughts on the game. Are you excited? Are you nervous? Are you disappointed? Let me know, and I'll catch you guys next time. Cheers.